Let's see how we do here. Oh, good morning and welcome to Radio Maria Ireland. Father Eamonn with you here. Lovely to have your company today, this Saturday morning. It's the 6th of February. And a bit of one-man show here, trying to do everything at the same time. So I'm at the mixing desk in the on-air studio with the camera rolling here in front of me as well for Facebook Live and YouTube and so on. So good morning to everybody following us on our social media channels. And for today, Roisin is operating remotely, and nothing wrong with the remoteness because she is close to our hearts all the time. So Roisin, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Father. Good Father. That's wonderful. Wonderful to be able to chat to you and to listen to you. It's wonderful.
Great, thanks a million, Roisin, and good to have you with us too. We had your good friend Catherine Wiley on this morning, Roisin.
Oh, wow. Yes, I see that she was in the Irish, an article in the Irish Catholic about Pope has made a day for grandparents.
Yes, that this Sunday past, there's been inaugurated a day for grandparents and the elderly as well. So you don't.
July, isn't it?
It's the last Sunday of July is when it's set for, and Catherine is hoping that maybe the pilgrimage to Knock, all going well, all other things being equal, might be that Sunday instead. It used to be September the 8th, I think, or near enough. So in July.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, so you're well connected with Catherine as best buddies with you now, I think, really, isn't it?
She sends me lots of messages and things, which is lovely.
It's great, it really is, and it's a lovely idea that the church now has kind of cottoned on to our sort of taking hold of that. Look, the marvelous role that grandparents have in the nurturing and education, I suppose, not only their children, but the influence that you can have on grandchildren that parents mightn't always have. You know all about that, Roisin.
Absolutely. They love to maybe relate things to you, but maybe they don't tell mum and daddy, you know.
Sure.
You can kind of see both sides of everything, you know, when you're a certain age.
Sure.
It's lovely to be able to have. I have 6 lovely grandsons, and my daughter is just a treasure.
Sure.
Lovely sons too.
Indeed, don't leave them up at all by any means, and your daughters for that matter as well.
Daughters too, yes.
So very good. Yes, and like you say, grandparents can have those kind of treasure moments with grandchildren, and especially Catherine's very keen on that idea of little faith moments that they mightn't always be able to communicate or get through their parents.
Yes, actually, that's true, because Dylan was talking to Dylan yesterday, and I was chatting to me, you know, and you know, don't forget to pray to God, because God always listens to children, you know, just pray to, and mention Granny as well.
Indeed, put in a good word for Granny, whatever else happens. No, that's lovely, and these are the small little things I think that grandchildren will remember forever. You know, Granny used to say this, or Granny did this with me, or you know, so marvelous altogether. So great, Roisin. And indeed, for all grandparents, of course, Catherine very kindly including people like me, grand uncles and grand aunts and so on.
Fantastic work, Father. My God, we'd be lost without you.
Well, it's nice to be in that category now myself, and obviously grand aunts and uncles can have their own influence, maybe a little bit too as well. Not always easy, of course, to get around to the visiting and catching up and keeping up with them, but nonetheless. So it's great. We'll play that interview with Catherine Wiley back again. It'll be there as one of our new guest interviews, and we'll put it up as a podcast in the course of time too as well. So now that I have the camera on the shelf in front of me here, you know what it looks like, Roisin. I've got Padre Pio, the lovely statue given to me by Bernadette in Knock. He's in the foreground there, and I've got him there, and I've got my little mixing desk light there too. So people can get a little sense of what the on-air studio is like. Oh, it's hard to get the right angle on it though, because there's too many instruments in the way, and Joe, you're kind of facing into the driving seat here. Well, it's a bit like a circus. You know, you have one act going on over here, another act going on over here, and you're trying to tame the lions in the middle. And but it's kind of fun. You see, it's sort of a guy thing when you're sort of playing with all these toys, all these technical toys. So it's it's as much fun as anything else.
we didn't have television when I was growing up.
Sure, sure.
9 or so, television came along, so it was great.
Sure, it's made all the difference now as well. And it's nice to have the little visual element here. Nancy Dean had sent us in a little crocheted hat for us, little baby hat. So we'll have to find a suitable baby to give that to wear it. Small little baby hat for newborn baby, I'd say. Crochet. So Nancy is busy all the time listening in and probably crocheting while she's listening. She sends some nice things to us there. So always lovely to hear from you, and I might just give a little shout out as well if you would like to get in touch. 089 467 2000 is the text and WhatsApp number. info@radiomaria.ie is the email. You can give a call on 014123456 as well. Thomas will be joining me for the Ceolagus crack, so he's looking after the phones for us in the meantime downstairs, so we're well separated and isolated and all these other things that you need to be for now. It is great to have a bit of help and give Aidan a small bit of a breather as well, you know. So that's good too. So do give us a call, 014123456. And if you want to write to us, we're at St. Anthony's Business Park, Ballymount Road, Dublin 22. And again, like, share, follow, subscribe on our social media. If you want to leave a comment there on Facebook or on YouTube, feel free. We'd be delighted to hear from you there too. And I'll do my best to juggle all of that with you as well. I'm going to play later on just another track from this lovely album, Sea of Tranquility, Deacon Thady O'Connor. And thanks to Michael and Nora Murphy, who sent that in the post to us as well. We get some lovely gifts here in the post, you know, Roisin. We're well spoiled. And there's a listener who tops me up with vitamin C as well. You know, and knows when I'm running out and sends another round of it.
That's great.
Well, keep me that's right, keep me well immune anyway from whatever might be out there. So do Patricia Keane, of course, is all the time trying to encourage us there. Keep taking the vitamin C, the vitamin D, and the zinc, I think, as well. They're the 3 that are recommended just to build up our immune system. God forbid that any harm might come to any of us. It seems to be very practical, very simple, and the easiest thing ever to do. So it makes a lot of sense, really. And please God, you know, we'll be kept safe and well, and we'll have a strong immune system should we be compromised in any way or our health be challenged. Always a good thing. So very good. So listen, it is great to have your company here and great to be able to work and chat away together. I'll just give a few thoughts on our martyrs today because it's quite a striking story. Paul Miki, M-I-K-I, died at just the end of the 16th century, 1597. He and so many others were martyrs in Japan. And he's said to be the first Christian apostle of Japan, or rather, no, correctly, the first one rather was Francis Xavier. So he would have succeeded Francis Xavier. He was a Jesuit too. And Paul Miki would have been a native, obviously, but his various companions, the Jesuits, would have sought to have evangelized in Japan. So St. Francis Xavier arrived in the year 1549, and he left a few years later. And by the time he had left, there was about 2,000 Christians there. And if you remember St. Francis Xavier, extraordinary saint too, he was the one in his letter back to Europe from the mission country. He was in India, I think, at the time, maybe in Goa, and was just celebrating and lamenting at the same time that the arms were hanging off him with all the baptisms he was doing. That was the gospel there this morning. Go out to all nations, baptize in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So St. Francis Xavier taking that absolutely literally. And just one of the expressions in his letter home, St. Francis Xavier was, you know, he'd love to go into the universities in Paris and the big cities, and what was the way he put it? He'd like to bludgeon all those who have more learning than zeal for the mission. So it's a pretty strong word, but you know, he felt, look, get out here and give me a hand to mind your ivory academic towers. So play to St. Francis Xavier. Exactly, you know, put your money where your mouth is. You know, if you're willing to teach it, well, come on out and, you know, give me an old hand here to struggle. So nearly 50 years after St. Francis Xavier, then, the number of Christians were even more numerous. And the Japanese culture, I was mentioning this a little bit this morning, is very unique and it's a very strong, united culture. And I'm wondering, is it like Ireland, as an island? It's a country like, say, like, yeah, like, so like sure, but a country, say, like, I don't know, Poland or Germany, or in the middle, where it's surrounded by countries, they would have overlapping influences from all kinds of cultures. But we've been sort of relatively insulated until recent years, and Japan, I suppose, the same. But the ruler there, Hideyoshi was his name, was incensed by the increase of Christians and by the boasting of a Spanish sea captain. That wouldn't have helped either. He embarked on a policy of persecution against the Christians in Japan. This extended, according to Japanese custom, to even the dependents of the victims. Pretty severe. So in this case, there was 26 in all. Paul Miki was a Japanese of an aristocratic family and a Jesuit priest. He was ordained a priest and a notable preacher. 2 of the martyrs were Jesuit lay brothers, and the others comprised 6 Franciscans, of whom 4 were Spanish, 1 from Mexico City, and 1 from Bombay. Jesuits were quite strong in India too at the time. The other 17 were all Japanese lay folk, except for 1 Korean, and they included catechists, interpreters, a soldier, a physician, and 3 young boys. And they were very cruel to them in the way they mistreated them and tortured them. They were put on display in various towns to terrify others, as they were being punished and maltreated. And in the end, they were crucified near Nagasaki, being bound or chained to the crosses and planted all in a row. I think that's depicted on one of those movies, the movie that was mentioned early on in the homily, which I haven't seen because I don't think it does, I was told anyway, doesn't do altogether justice to the story itself. But like that, they were pierced with a lance like the Lord himself and put to death in the end. But after they died, their clothes and their blood was treasured by their fellow Christians, the blood of the martyrs, of course, very much revered. And they were canonized in 1862. So it's a marvelous celebration and witness in Japan. I wonder indeed how things are in Japan by way of Christianity. I did mention earlier the priest, missionary Columban priest I knew some years ago teaching us in the seminary, did say he had spent some time in Japan and that the culture was very of the identity, very strong, and not altogether easy to preach the gospel there. So quite a challenge. And it's not as if, again, it's one of the things the church warns against is what's called inculturation, which means kind of coming in with your Latin ideas or your European ideas and Europeanizing everything or Latinizing everything. And the church would say, no, that's not the faith. That's a kind of colonialism. That's not really, bringing the faith to people. Let the culture, continue as it is. But like St. Patrick, adapt it accordingly. St. Patrick did very well, didn't he, in Ireland, Roisin, to kind of adapt.
What would we do done without him on it?
Yes.
In Ireland, it really is, especially this hard time.
Sure, and we have things like the shamrock, and even the St. Bridget's cross. These little things, using what was native, but convey the faith.
True, through the centuries over. People stood by their faith on it.
Yes, and that's the challenge. We've had our own martyrs here in Ireland over the years too. Actually, around the same time, there seemed to be a lot of persecution of the church going on, just as there is today. And I might mention that, please God, on Tuesday week we have a new program starting, and all going well now, please God, because we kind of hope and pray we get to line these things up so something can happen, like Father John's book show. And again, apologies if anybody was really looking forward to that. We had a few phone calls on Thursday. He was due to start at 4 o'clock, but unfortunately he had to attend to a funeral. And so the book club show will begin proper next Thursday, again with God's help, at 4 o'clock. But please God, Tuesday week on the 16th of February, which is the day before Ash Wednesday, please God, our friends from Aid to the Church in Need will come and just a little half an hour program there and share with us news and stories, and events from the persecuted church around the world, so that we can bring them to our prayers and just be aware, like that, of our brothers and sisters who are suffering tremendously in so many countries, that you don't really hear about these things in the news, Roisin.
Absolutely not, Father. You just see that persecution, with suffering and hunger. Lifesavers and different, charities are, putting the word out, looking for help.
Yes, and we hear it from time to time of these sort of social justice issues, but we don't perhaps hear as much about those who have, for the Christian faith, are suffering and being persecuted. So it's an interesting sort of dynamic, and at any rate, please God, here I've been anxious to get this inaugurated or initiated here, that we would have regular updates on how our persecuted brothers and sisters are doing, and just being in solidarity with them, making ourselves aware of what's happening in the church, and try to reach out and help them. There's a fabulous memorial, I mentioned it before, and I'd never known it was there. I think maybe it was erected after I had ministered in the parish in Middleton in East Cork. And I actually saw it from the road. I was driving past, I made a point of, because I know where to the geography of driving on the bypass some time ago. And it's set in concrete, but they're very tall. I know they're 6 feet or more tall, of feathers in a circle, and they're stainless steel. Yeah, it's commemorating how some people, I think based in Middleton and around Cork, had heard of a terrible famine among an Indian community in the United States. And they said, look, they had heard that this particular Indian community had, during the time of the Irish famine, 150 or more years ago, they had sent grain over to help the starving in Ireland at the time from the United States. Most extraordinary story. Just this little Indian community thought, well, look, we'll do our little bit. And here, like 150 years later, they were going through their own local crisis, I don't know, unemployment or some issues were maybe illness. But the story is that these people got together. I think they started like a GoFundMe page or something like that, and they raised about €1 million to help them. And so this gorgeous monument is standing to testify to the fact that the charity that they exercised 150 plus years ago was coming back to their ancestors today, Well, most extraordinary story. And so it's true in the area of faith too. That's maybe worth referring to as well, that our dear friends in Radio Horeb in Germany, who have been very kind and very generous to us. I said to Father Richard, the priest director there, and I was visiting some time ago, we're so grateful to Radio Horeb and you, dear listeners, and your staff and volunteers in your fundraising for the World Family of Radio Maria, that you're helping Radio Maria Ireland to get off the ground. And it couldn't have happened without their help, really couldn't. And Father Richard said, well, look, you don't need to thank me. He said, look, back in the Dark Ages, over a millennium ago, that St. Kilian came to Germany, and he evangelized here in Bavaria, and he's well remembered, and with great devotion to him, and he brought the faith to us. We're just returning the favor. So amazing.
I'm not a church down the road, Father, of Westminster Place now at St. Kilian.
Well, there you are. So his name lives on, and his Christianity, his charity lives on as well. So very extraordinary that that's kind of debt or repayment should bear such great fruit. They have this new expression for that, where you pay it forward. Is that what it's called? You reach out to others, and it comes back to you. It comes back to you.
Oh, that's right. That comes back to you, the graces of God.
And that's what the Lord promises, and it's certainly true, and here we are, beneficiaries of that today, thanks be to God at the radio. And our hope, certainly here in Radio Maria, is that we would begin to do the very same as we find our feet ever more, and we're grateful for the increase in listenership. Aidan was mentioning in the month of January that we've taken, I don't know what it is, about a 10% or something increase on last month. And the figures kind of rise and fall just a little bit. They fluctuate a bit, but there's sort of been a swell in listenership here in the month of January. And for that, we're very grateful. And we're very grateful for all the wonderful, encouraging messages that come into us here and the donations that help keep us going as well. It's most encouraging too. And our hope indeed, and I think it's one of the elements when a radio station has found its feet in Radio Maria, it's typical of there's about 80 stations around the world, that indeed as their income allows, that they would pay a little forward to the world family of Radio Maria with a view to helping new stations begin. And they have their sights set again on countries like Japan. Doesn't know Radio Maria there as far as I know. Certainly China as well, and around India. There's vast populations in these countries waiting to hear the gospel. And so that's the fulfillment of the Lord's words in today's gospel. Go out to all nations, baptize in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and certainly preach. And Radio Maria is a marvelous instrument to do exactly that. So just to be aware that your kind offerings to us here, insofar as we haven't quite got there yet, but please God, in time that we'll reach a certain sort of surplus of need, that we can plan to grow the mission forward for ourselves here at home, and become ever stronger and reach more souls, but that we can indeed make some little, small, modest return to the world family to help Radio Maria around the world grow in other countries too. So it's great that our charity can extend to souls that we'll only meet in the next life. So that's how it works, Roisin.
That's beautiful, Father. So Naki, I hope I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
Nagasaki.
You know, and just a little article in Magnificat say that they closed off the country. In 1638, they closed off the country, Japan did. And when it was reopened in 1865, thousands of converted Catholics came forward.
Oh, I see. As in the native Japanese had kept the faith even though there was no missionary activity. Wow, that's fantastic. That's great to hear.
To get in, so but the people who were there were already converted just to us now, which was wonderful.
I heard a story that when the missionaries finally did regain access to come into Japan, one of the questions that the faithful who had remained, obviously they'd handed the faith on over a couple of centuries, or at least a century or more of generations, but one of the things they obviously had learned and sought to ask was that the priests were unmarried. That the celibate priesthood was something that struck them, obviously, and this was a sort of sign of an authentic Catholic priest, let's say. So that's I need to do it. Well, this is it, and you see, this has obviously stayed with them as a charism of the faith and the church, and I should follow that story up, but maybe a listener can help me out there. But I think that's true. That's just very interesting. Like they obviously hadn't heard from any missionaries for over 100 years, and now but they'd kept and preserved the faith.
In family, probably. Done usually in Ireland.
Yeah, the same, of course, in this country too. So we might pause, Roisin, for a little piece of music. We'll listen to a track from A Sea of Tranquility from Deacon Thady O'Connor. He's down in Kerry. And again, thanks to Michael and Nora Murphy for sending on the CD to us. If you have any nice, suitable music for us here, please do send it in to us. As always, the address here, Radio Maria Ireland, St. Anthony's Business Park, Ballymont Road, Dublin 22. Email us again if you wish to at info@radiomaria.ie, and do call us up on 014 123 456. And if you'd like to text or WhatsApp, 089 467 2000. Now maybe an appropriate one here, one day at a time. It's probably where we should all be at this stage. And this is from this lovely CD by Deacon Thady O'Connor.
I'm only human.
Very good.
I'm just
here.
a man. Lord, help me believe in what I can be.
This microphone's probably in my way if your image
that
in the
I
camera.
am. Show me the stairway. I have to climb. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking of you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. Do you remember when you walked among men? Well, Jesus, you know, if you're looking below, it's worse now than then. Pushing and shoving
That's very good.
and clouding my mind. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking of you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time.
I hope you enjoy that piece of music there. Sorry, I cut it off a bit too rapidly for you there. One Day at a Time from A Sea of Tranquility by Deacon Thady O'Connor. Lovely piece of music there. He plays the piano accordion. Just hold up the CD cover for anybody looking on Facebook or, oh, wait a minute, if I get the angle of the... I'm trying to be a video director as well as a radio host here. It's not doing too well. So anyway, very good. Dennis was in touch there, Roisin. He says loves listening, and Eileen too. There you're chatting with me on the radio. That you have that infectious laugh, Roisin.
Oh, gosh. I don't realize I'm doing it, Father. Tell you the truth.
You might have missed your vocation as a stand-up comedian.
Maybe so, maybe so.
Very good. So listen, thanks a million. And actually, he did suggest that you should put the smiley face on your scones. Might be a nice idea too.
I'm sure you're missing my phone call.
Well, please God, now we'll get those scones up and running again before too long. No worries at all. So listen, great. Thanks for all the lovely messages coming in there on Facebook as well. Winnie is watching on Facebook. She loves the Padre Pio statue. I have him there. Well, he's pale looking. He's kind of standing in the light there, and he's a bit. Look, he's giving you a blessing there now as well. I just moved the statue. Monumental piece. Good place to have them too. So she was saying that they have a lot of raffles. She could raffle Padre Pio to support Radio Maria. Well, listen, our Padre Pio is not up for raffle here. I mean, hold on, we can't be. He was a lovely present from Bernadette and Knox. She came to visit the studio here, and I put him. He's got pride of place here on top of the mixing desk. He's your only man. He has. He's looking down on us here now. He's doing a great job. So thanks, Winnie. So we're not parting with our statue for the time being. If that's what you meant. There's a couple of lovely text messages in here. Where are they coming? I think it's a feedback group. Or no, let me just check. I'm checking our various groups here. Oh yes, here it is. It's very kind of you. You heard Thomas leading the prayers after Mass. What I was trying to do was to get Thomas to lead the prayers so that I come upstairs and look after the mixing desk, trying to keep things going as best we can. And Kevin and Catherine both texted in with the same lovely sentiment. Said, thanks to the man who said the prayer after Mass today. I have found it very difficult at times to read at Mass, and have suffered from panic, and he has a great voice for radio, so please encourage him to try again. And with the Holy Spirit, he'll do great things in Radio Maria. Well, that's from Kevin, and it's very kind of you, because Thomas is on the microphone here at 1 o'clock for Ceolach Crank. And what happened was I was motioning to get, organising Thomas to come on for the prayers, and he didn't have his glasses, and he was trying to remember them from memory. And poor Thomas got stuck. And it just was stumbling over them. But in fairness, he did the best he could. So Catherine said the same. She said, just to say, as soon as the prayers started after Mass, I thought, who's that? He has a lovely gentle voice for the prayers. And if it's Thomas, please tell him that there are very few of us in Ireland who have the confidence to speak on the radio. The young ones make it seem so easy. So keep going, Thomas, a little word of encouragement. And maybe some more of us will overcome our fears, which hold us back from getting involved at Radio Maria. So looking forward to Ceolach's Crack later. So thanks, Catherine. Thanks, Kevin. That's very kind of you to text in there as well. So no, he forgot his glasses. And I wouldn't mind that we have, I think there's a kind of a shelf for them here, isn't there, Roisin? There's a corner where there's a few reading glasses around that if people are stuck, then we can give you free glasses. So, no, that was very...
I wanted to just say to you, I sold this Tours magazine, Father. I bought it last night.
Oh, you did? Good.
Yes, and well, we said the rosary outside the church on a Friday evening, and Tom, the lovely girl who organised it, at coffee shop at Fargo, and I see the lovely article that you put in.
Oh, you spotted me. Indeed, going to do my little thing on Frank Duff. Yeah, I'd done a chapter for a book that was due to be published this year, and it maybe hasn't gone to publication at all. So I just edited it a little bit, sent it on to Father Marius. Really the story of Frank Duff, I think, as I remember. I think he put the most of it in. It covers a few pages of the magazine, so...
3.
3 is all right. I'll accept that. Oh, I think yes, probably Rob from our Facebook page or something like that too. So it's good to, and in fairness, thanks to Father Marius too, and his team, Fiona, and that you put an ad for Radio Maria in the back of the magazine as well. So sure, if anybody's interested in getting a copy of the magazine, told to us, just Google that there, Google Father Marius, you'll come across it. It's online there. And easy enough to order as well. I think they'll send it out in the post to you. I think they have PDF versions of it as well if you wanted a computer version. And it's more or less based on donations. I think the postal cost is just to cover the cost of the postage and so on. But it is full of lovely articles. Our own Father Billy Swan, I think, features in it regularly too. Yeah, it's a great.
R-A-G-H-W-D, Gani, G-A.
Yes. Yeah, he was. He studied in the Irish College in Rome. He was known to many of the Irish priests, Father Agid Gani, and went back to Iraq, I think it was, and was martyred there for the faith. You know, we're talking about Paul Miki, but Agid Gani himself too, he was threatened by the Muslims there and knew he was going home to the possibility of that threat, and still kept the faith. Extraordinary witness in our own times. So it is. So there's an article about Father Agid this month in the Totus Tuus.
It is on the 3rd of June 2007. He was murdered along with 3 sub-deacons having celebrated Sunday Eucharist in the church. The Canadian church mourned the death of their beloved son. About this death, persecution had become real for us, and they woke us up from our complacency.
Yes, extraordinary story. And actually, if you visit the Irish College in Rome, I was there a couple of years ago now, when I just popped in after we had a Radio Maria conference, and on the altar behind in the seminary chapel there is a beautiful mosaic, gorgeous mosaic, and it features St. Patrick, St. Bridget, you know, and saints of our own time. I think Pope St. John Paul and Mother Teresa, but they've actually put in a mosaic of Ragid as well. He's the only one in it, I think, without a halo, so that you know he's obviously not canonized, but he's depicted there as belonging to the martyrs, and you know up there behind the altar before the Lord. So a lovely idea to include him in that image that they put there. So.
Now, day and age now, that's happening now. It's sad. There's a lovely picture of him in the paper, you know, in the magazine.
Yes. Extraordinary, really is. So there we are. It's happening in the church today, and something we need to be very mindful of and aware of, and to seek to support our brothers and sisters like that in the persecuted church. Very important, really. Now, if I might give a shout out for the Divine Mercy Conference, it's coming up on the 19th, 20th, and 21st of February. And of course, normally it would be in the RDS. We were there this time last year and enjoyed it very much because all the huge crowds, like thousands of people who come. And indeed, we have our own little stall there, and we'd be meeting and greeting people. And year on year, because we did it the last 3 years, and year on year it just got better and better. The number of people who are listening into the radio and enjoying it and loving to stop and chat and meet us and everything. So unfortunately this year, not to be. Certainly not in the RDS at any rate. Excuse me, but it will be online, and you can watch it, of course, on divinemercyconference.com or Church Services TV. And here on Radio Maria, of course, we will be airing as much of it as we can fit in as well, along with our own. It is Don Devaney. He's doing a marvellous job there in getting all that organised with his committee, of course, as well. Father Eugene, I think it is Father Una MacDonald with the Salesians has taken over since Father McCarthy died, of course, too. So beginning on Friday the 19th of February at 6 o'clock, there'll be adoration, chaplet, rosary, music, praise and worship. Father Columba Jordan then will conduct a healing workshop and Holy Mass with Bishop Eamonn Walsh, the Emeritus Bishop of, actually this area, isn't it, Roisin? Bishop Eamonn, I think, was this side of Dublin. He's living up the road. Well, how bad? You've a bishop as your neighbour. There you are. But he's over the back. That's not what they say. So he'll be celebrating Holy Mass at 8 o'clock then on the Friday. On the Saturday then, from 10 o'clock through to 8:45, it'll begin with morning prayer of the church, ending with night prayer. But there'll be testimonies. Sister Bridget McKenna will be on as well. I'll be doing a little examination of conscience as well, preparing for reconciliation. The hope was, I'm speaking to Don actually, I'm not sure if the idea took off or not, that there might be priests who would locally make themselves available in the church car park, let's say, and that if people could tune in on their phone or wherever they might be tuning into Radio Maria or otherwise to the conference, that between 2:30 and 3, my name is down there for a preparation for a reconciliation, little examination of conscience and some prayers really. And the theory was that maybe it's possible, I'd put it out there nonetheless, if there are priests listening or you know something that you think might work in your parish, why not suggest it to the local parish priest? Say, look, can we have distanced confessions or drive-through confessions with masks and 2 meters and all those things? And you can tune into the radio here between 2:30 and 3 and do an examination of conscience and the prayers with us here on the radio, and then just drive along and maybe the priest might be available to hear confessions. Again, it's just a thought, just an idea. We were hoping the idea would take root, and maybe it's something you could suggest to your local priest. Say, look, this is happening. We can advertise it through the parish. If you're able to make yourself available, maybe you could sit in your car and keep yourself warm in the car if it's a cold day, and just wind down the window and hear confessions that way. And with listening, so it's doable, I think, So just put that one out there. And so if again you want to tune in to divinemercyconference.com, visually you'll see everything that follows then. The Stations of the Cross at 3. Father Hayden Williams, who's from Malta, he'll be speaking then at 4. Archbishop Dermot Farrell, the new Archbishop of Dublin, will be celebrating a Holy Mass on the Saturday the 21st, and that'll be at 5 o'clock as well. And Father Brendan Walsh then will have a Eucharistic healing service at 7 in the evening. And then on the Sunday too, prayer of the church, Father Hayden once again, Sister Bridget too. And what we hopefully will do, we're just looking at it ourselves, we'll try and fit in as much as we can around our own masses on the Sunday. But for the afternoon from 12 onwards, Sister Bridget, the Holy Hour, there's Rosary, Testimony, and Holy Mass. I think we'll certainly feature all of that part of the Divine Mercy Conference for you on the radio as well. So now something good to look forward to there on the 19th, 20th and 21st of February. So no stall this year, Roisin.
Sorry, Father?
I say no stall to stand at and to meet and greet.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I'll see God, Father, next year things will improve. The Lord will heal anybody who's suffering from this terrible virus.
Yes, with the help of God, we'll keep praying, we'll keep hoping, and we'll try to avoid the worry and the anxiety. Trust in the Lord. God is good. These things will come around again. It's a trying time for sure, but listen, we're not yet being sort of asked to be martyrs. Certainly, it's very challenging and demanding. Self-denial that's going with it, but sometimes that can be a healthy thing to help us deepen our spiritual journey as well. So, and then maybe these online elements of faith and celebration, it's so plentiful and so popular because Catherine Wiley.
More people probably actually go down to the church,
Well, correct, Catherine. Catherine was saying that earlier on, that for the Grandparents Association pilgrimage to Knock online last year, there was thousands attending that might not otherwise have been, So it's great that we can have this. Now I'm looking at our time, Roisin. It's 12 o'clock and time for Angela's. There you are. My clock here says 12, so I better pause. So we'll have our Angela spells, and you'll stay on the line, Roisin. Too, and you can pray with us here as well. Thanks for that, Roisin. So very good. May God bless you, and just farewell to all our friends on Facebook and on YouTube. And thanks for being with us. A little bit hit and miss. I'm not sure how the sound quality was. I was trying to help you hear Roisin speaking through the loudspeakers here in the on-air studio, as well as everything else. So again, 3-ring circus scenario, but what harm? What harm? So very good. God bless you all on the video format, and we'll do stay with us audio here on the radio, and we'll continue our prayers together.